welcome. I want you guys to welcome Heidi to our Love and Thunder podcast. Heidi's background, she's a wellness consultant, acupuncturist, veteran, healer, and was an amazing swimmer. And also, you were one of, I guess, my first healer in my life as a professional athlete when I turned a professional athlete. And one day I woke up and I was like, well, my body's banged up. And then they were like, go see Heidi. And you helped fix me. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. It was such an honor. Those were some of my most favorite years in CrossFit, were those exploratory years of getting to work with people like you, and then other people that came along in that same time, that we were all just sort of exploring the space of growing together, and so you really helped me develop as a healer. And our experiences together were paramount to where I my journey as well. So I'm so grateful that I got to know you as well.
Oh, I really appreciate that. It's so funny being on the other side of it and looking back in, because you never know what was at least for me, what was the feeling of everyone, because I always felt so grateful for everyone, but you don't know how you come, because I was so intense. I was so laser focused on my goal. And I think as I grew older, I was always scared. I didn't vocalize how grateful I was back then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I think I've always felt like you were very appreciative and a very kind and awesome athlete. Some of the athletes that I worked with early in my profession, I could feel maybe some of the professional football players, professional baseball players, they're just so used to always being catered to that maybe there was some lack of appreciation there. But that's one thing that I really liked about the CrossFit community. I think because it was underfunded, kind of, and
for sure.
So everyone was like, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. So it was a really lovely space to get started in, from the feeling the appreciation. I never felt that at all. But it is interesting to go and talk to people that were around you while you were going through your experience, to see what their experience of you was, right? Because I just did this recently with my swimming back at the Naval Academy, because I was I felt so selfish in a way, and so inwardly focused on what I needed to do. So yeah, it's cool to do that, because I think it helps give you the whole picture, and it keeps you from developing the wrong story about what was happening.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think I've actually done some therapy around that, because what my story was clouded by a lens of my own self-doubt, my own wounds, my childhood trauma, all that stuff. And when I say trauma, I mean the stories that I built around my experiences. Some of the trauma was self-induced, because I created stories that weren't true. And there was a lot of limiting beliefs in that. And so part of unwinding the story and the limiting beliefs was talking to people that had an experience of me that was very different from my own.
Yes. Memory is so tricky, because, the way we memorize our past is through this survival mode, or through just as you said, the thing that we decided to latch on and believe about ourselves. So everything you see is from exactly that lens. And I think that's why for me, right now, I really like talking back to all those people, because honestly, when I was competing at that level, I had a lot of darkness in me. And that darkness was what fueled me with the training. And I didn't knew that, obviously, because I'm a child. I'm 21 years old, and I'm but when looking back, you're okay, you're this 21 years old that is willing to hurt this much. wow, it's not normal. Let's just say it
Right.
like that. Like, obviously, like to be willing to make yourself hurt so much that you have to shut down everything in your brain, get so numb to the pain, and keep going. Like, being able to do that, like, I think, like, I didn't realize for me how much anger I was carrying inside me. And I think because I had that, I also believed that it was being projected outside. And it was like definitely like this push pull. I was living inside my body about like feeling how I would, part of me was so scared to put that anger on someone else. And like sometimes, of course, it would come out a little,
Yeah.
but I would kind of live in a little bit of that shame with that, right? Like that was like, and that's the story I created because that's how I felt inside. Um, but everything is good and bad because the good is anger well used, is determination. So
Sure.
that was
Sure.
there. But yeah, all of that to say yes, 100%. It's interesting looking back and be able to look at it with love and compassion and be like, wow, that was that was a lot.
Yeah. Well, and also some gratitude for interpreting those emotions the way that you did, because you were able to achieve, right? You were
Yes.
able to achieve and you were able to be an example. And then the power of being able to see how that has a purpose to a certain extent, but how if it's not balanced within yourself and there's no self-awareness around that, how
Yeah.
it can become very self-destructive,
100%. And the
right? Yeah.
self-destruction happened for
Yeah,
sure.
for
Like
sure.
my hormone got super suppressed and like I was literally killing myself on paper
Sure.
because of that. That's the other idea. And I think the more I work with women, and I would love yours because you work with tons of women too. Um, but this is like the recurring thing that I see for most is just the idea of not being enough.
I-
And then we just keep pushing. And yeah,
Yes,
good.
that was going to be my question for you, because at the basis of the anger,
Hmm.
and I remember, gosh, so vividly working with you and, the individuals. I don't know how much I want to like name the specific individuals, but that you were training with at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure I know who
And
you're talking about, but it's
yes,
okay.
yeah, and it was so clear to see that there was this desire to prove that you were
Yeah.
enough, and
Yeah.
I have to win the CrossFit games to be
Hmm.
enough, right? And then because you won the CrossFit games,
Hmm.
was that enough?
Well,
Was
that's the
that when you
thing.
were like finally like, I'm enough? This is enough?
Yeah, that's the craziest thing. And yeah, I love that you're asking that because that's been something I've been thinking a lot. Well, I finally was able to see it recently for what it was. Because when I won the CrossFit game, everyone were like, oh, aren't you like, oh my God, I did this. And it was like, no, because when it happened, it's like I knew I could, right? It was like, if you've done all the work in the journey, because most people see it through a lens that haven't done the work, they cannot relate to the sacrifice that you've put in, right? So
Sure.
it's like, even before I went in, I already won in some ways
Mhm.
because of like the discipline and the work I put in that year, that will shape me for the rest of my life, that specific year, because of the standard that I created for myself. But then when I won, I was relieved, just relieved. It wasn't like woohoo. I was like, oh my God, I can breathe. I can just breathe. And the craziest, and now looking back at it, right? Because that in the moment, that was the feeling. I can just breathe.
Mhm.
Like, oh, whew. And now, I'm older and like looking back, they're breeding. And this is the craziest thing was I was enough for one day.
Yeah.
And the next day people would start talking to me and be, so are we gonna do that win again next year? Right.
What's next?
And
What's
you're
next?
you're back to not being enough. And
Uh-huh.
it is like, yeah. And it is like a very slippery slope. Um it's hard. Like, I mean, it's hard, I think. And thankfully I did one. Like, but most people don't win.
Yeah.
And now I see how you can get stuck in it.
Yeah. I think your
What
dilemma is so common.
Yeah.
Because
I
now
want your experience too from there, because I know you have I've heard you tell me some of your, because you're as crazy as me, by the way.
yes, yes, absolutely. Well, I think, that's why I wanted to write a book for my girls, because I was very clear that the thing that caused me the most anguish was this chasing this not enoughness thing, and like feeling like I wasn't enough. And so, much like you, the achiever in me was, I had to achieve and I had to achieve and I had to achieve. And so, even when I was looking back on all of my accomplishments, I couldn't even remember them, because
Yes.
the accomplishments were just like clawing my way to this
Yeah.
desire to fill the gaping hole of enoughness.
Yeah.
And so, I never kept any of my trophies. I couldn't even tell you what my times were. Like, none of that mattered,
Yeah.
because none of that was part of what I needed anyway. It's like as you well know, and we talked about it in a lot of the CrossFit seminars, is it's that extrinsic motivation, that external validation does nothing for you.
Yeah.
It can't, and that's, what I would always try to talk about in the seminars, was that if you come from a place where chasing's terrible, and chasing external validation, chasing accolades, you think that that's what it is. It's not coming from the right place, and it'll never, ever, like, it'll last for, like you said, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
It's so funny. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was just going to say, Caleb Dressel is someone that I really follow a lot now, because I'm in the swimming world, and he talks about it really beautifully too. And it's kind of mind blowing. Like, that guy set world records, gold medals, and on the flight home was like, oh man, just feeling so dark and depressed.
Yes.
Right? And not
Yes.
happy. And then
Yes.
ultimately ends up working with a sports psychologist. And I think, I don't know what it is that he found in those sessions, but my thought is probably like all of us. It's that chasing the enoughness. Like, what is enough? How are you enough? And it has nothing to do with your sports performance. It's a much deeper fulfillment that you're looking for. And I will say, when I work with high school swimmers, even now, a lot of them, it's like, hey, what is the thing that you struggle with the most? What is it that is the hardest for you? Or what is a feeling that comes up for you on the regular that is the most challenging? And it's like feeling like they're not enough.
Yeah.
It's so common.
It's so common. Like, yes, across like the board, like, most women I work with is a couple thing, is like not being enough. And then the other idea is like the control, like trying, because I do obviously a lot of nutrition and things like that. So it's like this idea of control, all paired with some sort of like punishment in it. And it's like, it's really hard, because you heal their body, but as long as like that healing relationship is not happening with them, the self-sabotage is going to keep happening, right? Because
absolutely,
like,
for sure,
food and movement is absolute medicine, but it can be as poisonous as the medicine. Like, everything is in perfect equilibrium, so you can't swing the rope too far on each side. Like, we want to find the right middle. Yeah, that's so good.
Well, because I think for like, just one thing to capitalize on that thought is, are you looking for self-empowerment or self-punishment?
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that that's a really important thing to get to the bottom of when you're working with women from the movement and the nutrition space, is what are their belief systems? And I think that belief system that you have to earn your food, or earn, like, it's a very old thought process, but it's very, pervasive in society.
Yeah, 100%. It's so deeply entangled with that, like, not enough. And also, I think a lot of it is obviously passed down from generation to generation, where, a lot of our mother attach their self-worth a lot to their weight on the scale.
Sure.
And it's like, well, we don't need a number to tell me if I'm strong and feeling better. But for some reason, we're going back to that. And it's like, that's that wound that needs to
Sure.
heal.
Sure.
And I think, and I think a lot of the side effect of punishment, because you can feel, people chase those feel. It's like, if I can feel like that, like I'm doing something. And it's crazy because how you feel when you nourish and strengthen your body is like, you
Yeah.
don't necessarily feel hungry, you feel full and powerful. And it's like, well, if I feel full and powerful, I don't feel like depleted and skinny. And you're like, yeah, but we don't want that.
Right.
It's not, yeah, this is not how it works. And yeah, I think it's so wild how you chase this and I think going back to like that not enough and pushing really hard thing, because I love that. Like I love that subject right now in this conversation, because I don't want to shed a light on it as like you shouldn't do that. I think it's part of growing up, and I feel like it's like a big part of being able to like pass those level of like life wisdom.
Sure.
And it's like because that part of us like served us so well. It's
Sure.
like that like resilience and that strength and like all of that's like wow. That part of us is amazing, but it's like how can we find that balance? Like where did that happen for you? And I would love for you to tell people about your swimming story, that you were behind of a boat with gas leaking in your face, or the crazy hike you did where your knee was pretty much like falling into pieces and you were like, I got to finish this hike. Because I just
Yeah.
think they're just such great example of that. And also I want your perspective now looking back, like the story and then the perspective back in.
Sure. Yeah, I think you bring up a really incredible point. Because pushing yourself, and this is kind of what I love about swimming. And I tell my swimmers is you're so uncomfortable in the water, because you have to hold your breath sometimes, and it's an environment that you can get uncomfortable very quickly,
Yeah.
much more so than like running or something else. And so I want you to make friends with discomfort. I want you to understand discomfort and question it and be curious about it, because I think discomfort is an incredible teacher. It's like the best teacher out there. But there's a line too where you have to like, are you becoming self-abusive? And you're not listening to cues where your body's like, okay, I'm trying to tell you something and give you awareness that you're chasing the wrong thing here, and you're not listening to this self-awareness piece, because you don't have self-awareness, you're just chasing. So when I was doing the adventure race that you're talking about, it was me and 3 other guys. And if I were to quit, our team would have to withdraw. And I was never going to be that person, like no matter what. Like my leg will fall off,
Literally.
or I quit, or I'm that person. And some of that's learned from going through the military and being at the Naval Academy and everything too, is like just not being the weak link. That's definitely was a part of my belief system. And so when we were running down this riverbed on day 2 of a adventure race, so we raced for 5 days with like probably 6 hours of sleep in Alaska outback, and I'm running down a rocky riverbed and my knee shifts. I find out later that I tore part of my ACL and my meniscus. I had a bucket handle tear of my meniscus, but my knee swelled up really big, and I was not going to quit. So I just kind of duct taped my knee, and I took Motrin and Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours or whatever I was allowed to for the rest of the race. And I had to continue hiking. I had to continue paddling, biking, all the things. And I probably did a lot of damage to my body when that happened. And I'll never forget on the bus ride back, a teen withdrew because a girl had sprained her ankle. And she's like, I had the doctor look at it and they looked at my foot and they didn't want me to break a foot, like one of the bones in my feet. So they suggested that I withdraw. And I was like, gosh, what
Yes.
I had so much judgment about it. And I was like, you're so weak and that's so lame.
Yeah.
And I would never. And she was by far the smarter athlete.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Being older, you look back in and you didn't judge her.
No. Like, what was I
You
doing?
saw your version of you.
Yeah.
If yeah.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and she was so wise and so like, so self-aware and confident to be like, you know, I'm
Yes.
okay. This is okay. This is not life or death. You know,
Yes.
that's a totally different situation. And yes, we trained extremely hard and there was a lot on the line because other people had sacrificed, you know, to be a part of this. But still, you know, like it's your body. You only have this one body for this one life. Like, why would you not treat it like a temple? And you know, I'm sure some people will disagree with that, but I think that now looking back on it, there's ways to compete at a very high level and treat your body like a temple and
Yes.
honor your body and have this incredible relationship with it and not abuse it, you know. And to your point of what you're speaking about earlier, this abusive space, whether it's starving ourselves or training excessively or whatnot, there are endorphins that get released with that,
Mhm.
and that feels sort of addictive in a way. And I think that space, if you live in it for too long, can almost feel like home. And so it's what you're used to, it's what's familiar. That doesn't mean that it's good, because you can also come from an abusive home
Yeah, exactly.
and you don't want to return to abusive home. But, you know, so I think that's where therapy and all of these different things and journaling and self-awareness, like know thyself, show thyself, right? 100%.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
part of it is just learning through all of these experiences. I'm so grateful for them. I'm also really grateful that I had the introspection to go back and learn from them. And then I think it's our job as athletes, as women with daughters, to pay the lessons forward as best we can.
Mhm.
And also know that my daughters have to go through some of the stuff, have to make some mistakes,
Mhm.
because that's how you learn too. But be there as kind of a support structure to be like, yeah, I've walked this path. I know what that's like, or I can relate. I won't say I know that that's what it's like, but I have an appreciation for it. And then to hold space to hopefully allow them to grow and flourish the same way that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think it's yeah, you're so right. I find myself there right now with Zoe, right? Because she just turned 5, so she's like starting to learn new skill, and
Yeah.
it's like hard. So she's like facing hard for the first time. Like she's learning to roller skate outside, which is the cutest thing in the world. But she falls a couple of times, and you know, as she falls, it's like you, as a mom, in the split of a second, it's almost you almost have to have the right reaction,
Yeah.
because they can like make it much harder, much easier. And
Yes.
and then it's also right walking that line of how much am I challenging her and how much am I nurturing her at the same time. And
Yeah.
it's that is, I find it's my skill, right? That I'm learning. I love what you talked about, and I want to go back to that a little bit about just this abusiveness with herself, because I think people talk a lot about mental toughness, and like I think people put a lot of I think it's an egotistical way to look at mental toughness, and they're not gonna like that I'm saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like when you start to wear the badge of mental toughness because you are pushing a certain way, but that way of pushing is the one you're used to and familiar with, and the one you like, to me, that's not mental toughness. We are just like feeding our ego in a way. And I think that like being able to notice that about like the pattern in our life is very important so we can keep that wholeness about ourselves. And I see that from me, like that pushing like really, really hard, like what I've noticed, especially after my pregnancy with Zoe and things like that, every time something would like emotionally like flare up, I would try to use training to numb it.
Yes.
And that was like, and I've done a lot of work with that where now, like, literally, if something happened and my default mode is let's go train hard, I'm like, nope. And I literally made rule for myself the same way I made rule for myself when I was competing, like that discipline, right? That come from all of that is
Yeah.
still, I think, one of the greatest tool I have in my toolbox because now I just use it in a different way. But when that, like, right, something inconvenient, I don't know what it is, right? Because I'm learning about myself here and emotion arise. I'm like, let's go train. And now, like when that happened, I'm not allowed to train. I literally
Yeah.
am not allowed to train. I have to sit in it and then, close my eyes, like, okay, show me, like, who are you?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What is this emotion? Like, what are you
Yep.
trying to tell me? Um, like, in order to break away from that like
Sure.
punitive, punishing and like numbing and like self-medication through like that abuse in some
Right.
ways.
And avoidance, right? So it's so interesting because
Yes.
as you're talking about, yes,
Deflection. Yes.
yes. Because as you're talking about that, what it reminds me of is when I was a supply officer at SEAL Team One, I used to go to get physical therapy and I would go with a lot of the SEALs. There'd be a ton of, and this is like older school. We're talking like 2000. So like 25 years ago. And there would be guys in there getting treatment and they would have their x-rays on the wall and they were like a badge of honor how many vertebrae they had broken, or this badge of honor like how messed up their bodies were. And
Wow.
it was just like bragging rights, for how jacked up they were. And I'm not taking anything away from these men and what they accomplished and what they've done for our country, like incredible humans.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, watching it, I was like, you're mentally tough in one way, but when it comes to emotional vulnerability, you run and hide
Yeah.
in the movement, and that's kind of like when one of your training partners that I used to love to have that conversation with, right, was like, you're so mentally tough in this way, but when it comes to emotional vulnerability, there's no mental toughness.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, that's two sides of the same coin. You have to be willing to be mentally tough when it's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but that uncomfortability lies in vulnerability as well. And if you're not willing to explore that space, to your point, I want to go run and work out. Nope, I'm going to sit in this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so miserable,
Yeah.
but like that's where the biggest ahas come from, massive amounts of self-awareness, and your body is always talking to you.
Yes.
But if you don't take the time and sit and listen, that's also that's an abuse in of itself, right? You're not being engaged and you're not embodied to listen to what your body is telling you. And that's like the most powerful athletes are the embodied
Mhm.
athletes.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. I feel like that like getting back into my body like
Yeah.
has been literally my like past 2 years of like just after Zoe and the NICU, I disassociated deeply.
Yeah.
Like just being at the NICU, it was like trying to breastfeed, 12 nerves with the doctor, everyone on your boobs. Like
A
it's not
lot.
normal, right?
Yeah,
And like you're
absolutely.
naked, like it's like so I like disassociated like really hard
Yeah. To
uh
survive.
to survive. Exactly. Full on in that survival mode. And I just started to live like a life of numbness, like absolute numbness. just checking, right? On paper, you look at me, I'm thriving as a mom because I'm so disciplined, but I'm living a life of numbness, just checking the box.
Yeah.
And deep inside, like the hatred towards myself was just building, right? Like day after day, because I just felt like I love my daughter and my husband so much, but I can't feel it like all the way how I want them to receive it. And it,
Sure.
it was like, and then learning how to come back with myself and really sit in the feeling was like huge. Like, and the way for me, I started to do that, if it can help anyone, and if you have ways,
That's
please
what
share
I was going
them.
to ask you. So what did you do to get
Yeah, so
embodied?
one of the first thing I started doing was, first of all, listening to music, but like not music with lyrics, not music to fuel what I wanted to fuel, because I think that's what we do often, right? Is like, oh, I'm angry, I'm listening to metal music and I'm right.
Yeah.
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 So not at all. Literally the most oh gosh, hippie music you can think of, with like just the music drop and the flute and
Yeah.
the wow, 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 wow. That's what
Hmm.
I listen to. Because for me it brought resistance in me.
Yeah.
Right? It was like
Yeah.
at first I was like, and also there was no lyrics. So the lyrics couldn't influence like the thought. It was like
Yeah.
just sitting in music, and wherever that would bring me, I would go in. So it was just like listening, and then if the resistance arise, I wouldn't try to shut the door. I would just be okay. High resistance, as silly as that sound, like literally high, like,
Yeah.
and then I would just try to feel it as deep as it wanted to be felt. And then it would like right slowly dissipate, and then that would transfer into the next feeling and the next feeling and the next feeling. And then if I would do something where like I would feel sad, and in the past I wore that as a badge of honor, I don't cry. Well, honestly, looking back, it's really sad. It's
Right. Yeah.
really sad to not allow yourself to feel such a beautiful emotion. Sadness
Yeah.
is so beautiful. It's,
Yeah.
oh my God, like I love her so much now. Um, but yeah, like I would just like literally, like if I'm sitting, something happened, right? And I feel sadness, I just here it is. Just let it go. And yeah, it's been great doing
That's
that.
amazing. That's amazing. And that takes so much courage.
Oh my God, so much,
Yeah. It's
so
really
much.
awesome. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I did, I don't know if you've ever done that, and that helped me a lot. It's really good for the somatic system, but it's doing non-linear dancing.
Hmm.
Um, so word without music, eyes closed, and the only rule is you can stop dancing, and then you just keep moving, like. However, like literally, like talk about vulnerability.
Yeah.
Um, Coming from someone like me, at least, I've always like really look up to people that could just, dance silly and make faces and like not care. So starting doing that and like moving really ugly, and like, and obviously it's
Yeah.
like close locked door, Dave, do not enter.
Yeah.
But
That's
that was
great.
really good.
That's great. Yeah, there's actually, science behind somatic work that
Hmm.
is taken from observing animals after they're in a really, like when maybe like a caribou was trying to be taken down in the wild. And then after that experience, how they shake, and it's about shaking the trauma out of the body so that it doesn't embed
Yeah.
itself in the soma. So it makes so much sense, and I was exposed, luckily, really fortunately, in like the early 1990s to kirtan, which is singing yoga, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om,
Mm.
different, different, what we used as sankalpas, but different Sanskrit phrases. And it was such an incredible experience to me because it's the vibration of
Yeah.
singing those sounds, and moving that energy through the chakras, through the body, creating, and I think that's why acupuncture resonated so much with me, because it's like clearing these blockages of energy.
Yeah.
And so we're doing it through vibration, sound, singing. Kirtan was really, like the way you're explaining it for you, it was very transformative for me. Like
Yeah.
it took me to an altered state of being, of like reconnecting with my feelings and who I was. And then I think it brought me the clarity of these other emotions are sort of transient. And these emotions are like the weather,
Yeah.
and if I'm willing to sit with them, they're beautiful, like anger, sadness, jealousy, whatever it is. They're all so key, but they
Mhm.
pass just like a rainstorm. Like they're not who I am. They don't
Mhm.
define. It's just part of this weather system that's coming through right now. And if I have the ability to like sit with myself, I can see that, and I cannot identify with the emotion.
Yeah.
And then I can behave in a much more rational and present way that I want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have children and they really challenge that weather system.
Yep. 1000%.
Yeah, no,
1000.
I love that, that analogy of weather system. I think that's kind of exactly what it is. And, even going deeper than that is you need the whole system, right? Because if there's no rain, you don't get anything to grow. So I think like under, you know, I like wish for everyone in some ways to go through really challenging things so they can like just learn to have more love and compassion for themselves,
For sure.
and for others. And I really think that, when you sit in the rain, like for me, sitting in the rain and the sadness and even like jealousy, because I think jealousy comes up a lot in our current world, because literally is like everyone is putting a highlight reels on their fake best day everywhere,
Right.
right? So it's
Right.
like, okay, how can I, like, I'm home depressed with a newborn, my hair all dirty. I have this like extra 40 pounds on me. And right is like
Yeah.
how, you know, but it's like, okay, well, if I can sit here with like that jealousy and that this and that is like, let's keep going deeper, 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 deeper inside. Because it's like the deeper I go inside, just the deeper you come back to yourself. And
100%.
then you can just look at, okay, what is it in me that is being triggered by this?
Hmm.
And then it can like, right, come back to like, okay, you, for example, you have jealousy, and then you come back all the way in. And that has been a big one for me. I've always felt pressure around my throat, and I think I've always like really toned down my voice. So I
Hmm.
would like get jealous of like certain things, and then right, I was like, okay, sit in it, and like, phew, like just go look, like literally like force myself, right? Because it's so hard to do. And then it was like, wow, they were just, it was like, some people are just so willing to talk out of their butt, even
Yeah.
though like what they're saying is so untrue and whatever. And they just are there with all the confidence. And
Yeah.
and I'm so scared to speak. And that was
Yeah.
like, that was it, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, like maybe I should ease up on me and
Yeah.
like stop
Absolutely.
expecting. But yeah, I love it. I
I
love
think that's
life.
part of your character though too, right? Is because when you are so driven and you are such a high achiever, you're so hard on yourself.
Yes.
Because and that's a belief system too, that if I stop being
Yeah.
hard on myself, I'm going to stop pushing. And then I'm just going
Mhm.
to sit on the couch and eat bonbons. Like
Yes.
we have this really weird belief that if I'm not hitting myself, with the
Yeah.
stick, that I'm going to turn into a lazy sack. And so it's just all those belief systems. They're just so interesting to explore. And like you were saying, there's so many beautiful analogies out there. Like when we were talking about the strength and pushing yourself, I kind of see it like as the yin yang balance.
Yeah.
And so the yin, that nourishing part, is the vulnerability,
Yeah.
and then the yang is the like really pushing yourself and the drive. it's so great for them to coexist, but they have to coexist in a balanced way.
Yeah.
Right. And so like for all of these things, and I love that one of the things when you say jealousy, what I see with young girls, and I've been a victim of it myself too, is this comparison thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I always think like, how can I help my girls step out of the comparison space when,
Yeah.
even though they don't have social media or any of that stuff, it's there, it exists,
Yes, I didn't have social media. And
Yeah.
I was still very good at comparing myself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah.
just trying to remind my girls that comparison exists for inspiration, but not for self-logging, and not for like, you
Yes.
still, like, if you really need that piece of like, when I feel like, when I wrote the subtitle to my book was about failing forward into self-awareness and then ultimately self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And I really do see that as the goal, is
Yes.
to really embrace our own failures, use failure as fertilizer, and teach our kids that failure is such a ripe ground for self-discovery. And then, developing that self-awareness and then accepting
Yeah.
who we are. And I think if we do that, then we have a little bit of a protection from comparison in a negative way. And hopefully we can look to one another for inspiration
Yes.
instead of validating how we're not good enough.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Also, by the way, the cover of your book is fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And for people at home, it's called Widely You.
Yeah.
Is that you on the
That is
cover?
me. Yeah.
And it's like her whole life, you're trying to get back to her in some ways.
Yes. Right.
It's
Yeah,
so
that was the
wild.
whole, I thought the picture was perfect because I was like the only kid I think I know in swimming that wore these goggle caps, because I didn't want my goggles to fall off. It's like one of the scariest things when you're a kid is your goggles fall off your face. And so I'm like, I'm buying this goggle cap because I never have, that's one thing I don't have to worry about then.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, you look ridiculous. That's absurd. And I didn't care. I had them in all the colors.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
exactly. You're right. I want to get back to that girl that just didn't care and was like living her best life, her best self. Right. So,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so good. And yeah, you're just growing so many knowledge. I'm like just trying to absorb it all. It's so fun though. The self-acceptance is it though. Even when you talk about it, you just said earlier, you don't want to be like a lazy fuck as an example.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that's me judging me if I was
Right.
in that environment, right? So it's like maybe I would want that, right? And also there's no problem in being that, because I think kind of part of life is like understanding that you were always enough in some ways. And like, yes, there is the flip side of it that is like you have to honor your gift.
Yeah.
Like, I think part of life is that acceptance that we all have a gift, and the gift is definitely not what the other person is, right? My gift will never be Heidi's gift, because
Right.
my gift is me. Like, it is
Right.
deeply
Right.
me through my experience, my understanding, and my job is to honor that gift. But at the same time, it's like you're always enough. So it's like
Right.
balancing that scale of like, and right at the middle, you're like, right, is that self-acceptance?
Right.
Like
Right.
100% of
Right.
self-acceptance, and then just trying to honor that, literally God-given seeds that is in all of us. And I
Right.
think when we, for me, like getting out of like depression, a part of it was understanding that,
Hmm.
like that seed inside me to be like, I can't just stay in bed because I have to honor the gift that I have, even though I'm so unable to see why people would want to see any of this right now.
Hmm.
Which is wild, because I don't think from people around, there's no way they would know this. But for me, it was like been through like a really hard phase, postpartum depression, which is like very common, but it was like, I'm so disciplined. I'm still going to perform. I'm still going to, but inside, like every morning, it was like, what's the point of this? And I think like, I love Jordan Peterson, but I literally just heard him talk about like honoring that. And it just felt like at least I had some sort of purpose of like, I have to honor that. Um, yeah, I would
And when you
love
say honor that, what was it that you were honoring at the time?
it. Just like, I guess, like my experience and myself, like instead of like looking at it through like, I have to post something and I hope it does good. It was like, okay, like what do people around me want to learn about and how can I serve them?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like really like shifting that mentality of like kind of like chasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that chasing of like wanting people to like what you're doing. I just really switch everything to serving. And now like everything I do, like I train those girls here all for free, and I love them, and I do it for free because they're teaching me at the same time. And I'm like, I'm getting as much as you're getting because they are all learning to live. They are all like new in a lot of aspects. And yeah, I'll train them and they'll say something. I'm like, wow, that's really what you want to know about? I
Yeah.
had no idea people wanted to know about this.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's like my next post, right? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if
Yeah.
like all those women wants to know about this, like, well, here you go. Like, this
Yeah.
is why you should eat protein. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
where was it that you think you developed the awareness of that service was really where it was at?
Well, I think I just always loved helping people.
Okay.
And I wasn't taught that like serving was a good thing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. That
Yeah.
wasn't like, it was like achieve things and then, everyone will know that you're somebody. And it was like, well,
Yeah.
I was always somebody. And truly, I have always just wanted to help.
Yeah.
So I literally just want to be a helper and a servant. I don't want to be like, I'm not the master. I'm like a
Yeah.
servant to everyone, and I serve like literally that master, which is,
Yeah.
everyone. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's really
yeah.
cool. That's really beautiful. I
Yeah.
think that was a big part of it for me too, was when I was giving back and being in a space of service, how fulfilled I felt,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it was just like, wow, this is a deep well
Yes.
that is more rewarding than anything. It was kind of like, oh, wow, this is the first time that I felt like I went to the well and I came back sort of filled up, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I was like, oh, I want more of that. That feels really good.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also, it also at the same time, and I don't know if it did that for you, but for me, while I did that, is I started to accept receiving
Yes.
and then asking for help,
Yeah.
because you're like, okay, well, I have a gift. I can give you, a rock hard body.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
my gift.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But at the same time, I'm not super good at organizing a birthday party for my daughter. So like my friend's doing it for me. And it's like,
Sure.
wait, that's kind of nice. Like we're all puzzle and we're just puzzling together and that's
Yeah.
it. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, what a life when you realize that everyone's pretty awesome too.
Right. Well, that was a really big epiphany for me. One of the big epiphanies I remember was like, if I know how good it feels to serve and to help. And if
Yes.
I don't allow people to help me, then I'm denying them that same fulfillment. And it really took that for me to allow people to help me and to sort of invite that in, because I'm like, yeah, I know how good that feels. I want you to be
Yes.
able to feel that good too.
Isn't
Right. So
that
that's
wild?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
know for
wild, but
me,
it's a cool thing.
yeah, it's good. I know for me though, like the things like the way I grew up, every service that was coming towards me was attached to something.
Right.
So
An
so
expectation.
yeah, so that was like really hard to let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um and again, like I just think this is like one of those things that was like passed down, and it's just how, you know,
Yeah.
they thought they should do things. So no shade on anyone here.
No.
But
Yeah.
it was that, like, talking about vulnerability, I think that was one of the biggest things for me, to be
Yeah.
like literally my girlfriend, who is currently organizing Zoe's birthday party, she asked me to do it. And then I asked her to tell me what is her love language. So I could make sure that that was a way to reciprocate love, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, so I could force myself to accept it.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Oh, it's
I love
so,
it.
yeah, it's wild, but it's
It's wild
not
to watch that programming. Another one that was a really wild for me is when I left my practice in San Diego, I was so sad because I'm like, I get to work with such incredible humans and I am going to miss these people. I really love people so much.
yeah.
I really do. And it's like my favorite, one of my favorite things, my two favorite things about living this life are getting to meet people and see like their journeys and watch
Yeah.
them like step into their potential. Like it just lights me up. And then adventure, it's like going on my own adventures. Like those are my two things that those are my why. That's why I'm here, I think. And so it was this interesting thing to think about, like, I'm going to be so heartbroken because these people are so meaningful to me. And then my husband was like, well, don't you think that you're probably a little meaningful to them too?
Mm,
And I was like, oh, wow, that's wild. Okay.
yeah.
Like they probably care about me a little bit too. It was just such a like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like another moment, right? Of that same thing. Like if it feels
Mhm.
good for me to give, it's got to feel good for them to give. And it's like if I love them so much, they probably care about me too. That was
Yeah.
about as far as I could get, you know?
Yeah.
They probably have some investment in me as well. So just to allow myself to feel, you know, and it was like this visualization of like, I'm putting all this energy out there. And I really try not to. I really try to channel God's energy when I do healing. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing the work. I'm
We're a
just,
vessel,
yeah, exactly.
for sure.
Exactly. But it's
I
like
do
there
the
is this
same.
energy to an extent of me being present
Yeah.
and putting it out there. And so I also need to be open to the reception of their love too, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that that was totally closed off because I had this belief system. I just didn't, I don't even know what that was about, but that
Yeah.
probably lingering aspects of not being enough, not being
Yeah.
worthy of receiving the love.
Yeah.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I relate to that a lot. So for me, I'm like, yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. It's
Yeah.
almost, like you said at the beginning of this, kind of like we install those beliefs in our head. And, for me, for the longest time, and I didn't knew that until, like, I think having a daughter, and well, no, I think Dave is like the first person that like opened that for me. But being lovable was not a concept that made sense in my head.
Yeah.
Like I just thought that, like, as soon as someone would get close enough to me, they would close that door. So, looking back in my life, I like definitely self-sabotage a lot of like
Sure.
relationship, because I would be, oh my God, I'm getting close to this person. Like, they're gonna see how terrible I am because I'm not enough. So,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
yes, yeah, it's like so sad, but also it is what it is, and I hold no shame or guilt towards myself for that. It's just a journey I've been through, but
Yeah.
it is kind of crazy because you set yourself up with that, and then you move away, and it's like, well, I knew it because they're not really calling me or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Right.
And
Oh,
it's
sure.
like, no, it's just that everyone's on their own journey,
Right.
and they would be so happy to see you, but they might fear rejection at the same time, right? It's like you're not
Sure.
giving people enough credit that they also have a life and, a lot of their own thing, like in
Right.
between.
Right.
Yes. So
But well, and I think
absolutely.
that's why your belief systems are so, I talked to my daughter about this, right?
Mhm.
Because I think if you have a belief system that about, like, for example, in high school, I had a belief system that all my girlfriends were much more attractive than I was, much more
Mhm.
appealing because they were the ones that got asked to prom. Right. And so
Mhm.
that was my belief system. The reality was that I was a really intimidating girl in
Same.
high
Yeah.
school. Right. So,
Yes.
and and so but I think when you have these stories, so I've talked to my daughter too, I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
if you have this belief system that things are going to be hard and this is why they're going to be hard, or like that the boys always get the better things than you do, I'm just using,
Mhm.
that's not really, but like, oh, the boys are the ones that are always picked for this, and the minute a boy gets picked for something, you're like self-validating. That's not,
Mm.
there's no truth to that.
Yeah.
You're going to actually look to validate the story,
Yes. Yes.
to hold your belief system. So to your point, I could be like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm in Germany and nobody's calling me.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Well, yeah, because no one needs an appointment. No one's going to fly to Germany for an appointment. Like let's be real
Yes.
about why people aren't
Yes.
contacting you. That doesn't mean you didn't have a life-changing impact on
Yes.
them, and that they're not extremely grateful for everything that you
Yes.
did for them. So it's just, that's why I always say, like, belief systems are so
Mm.
important to really look at and turn over, because you will validate it. Whatever it is you believe about yourself, you'll find ways to validate it.
It's so true. I also think that sometimes you're like, well, this person only calls me when, and then you flip that around and you're like, wow, when this person is in trouble for some reason, they feel safe calling me. And
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, that's
right.
exactly it. That's it. And then it's like, damn, I must be so important in their life. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
It's hard. I mean, it's just hard to get out of our own way and struggle daily with that, but it makes life pretty fantastic.
It does. And I think that, what I've realized about myself, especially as I've gotten older, it's trickier now too, because I'm entering some of that perimenopausal stuff.
Fun
And so,
time.
yeah, so there's like sleep challenges.
Yeah.
There's, my nervous system gets a little more irritated more
Yep.
easily, and all the things. So I've had to give myself a lot of grace and be like, you know what? I can't handle the same stress load as I was able to before. And
Yeah.
if I don't meditate and do a lot of these different things for myself, I'm not the version of myself that I want to be. And so I have to do these things, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm less than, because I do less,
Yeah.
So it's all of these tools that you're developing, your toolbox, will pay in spades forward as you move into the perimenopause, menopausal space. And it gives us a lot of grace to just, again, accept who we are and what we can do. And I think what really helps me is going back to my why. If I know my why, and I really stick to that, and I stick to my core value, and I give myself permission to, have the self-care that I need, I can
Mm.
try to look at this, like what you're saying. I'm more patient and able to look at the scenarios with my kids from a compassionate, understanding, non-defensive, irritated space.
Mm.
Right. So that's kind of my cue too. The minute I start to get really irritable, defensive is a big one,
Yeah.
or needing to be right, you know, or these things, I'm like, what's going on? What's out of balance with me?
Mm. That's so fun.
So
That was me this week, literally.
yeah,
Because we did a bunch of 12 hours day, because we needed to finish project, and I was like, oh, my kettle is like yelling, it's screaming.
yeah,
And yeah, and I love you saying all of that about perimenopause, because I mean, hopefully it can help like so many of our clients, but I think like a big thing that I see from women that comes work with us in perimenopause, their first thing is, I want to get back to how I was when I was 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like the work we have to do is not necessarily nutrition and fitness,
Yeah.
but we're going to start there so you can feel better in your body. And then we'll introduce like
Right.
the depth of this because
The
like,
acceptance.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because
Yeah.
we all want to get back to that highlight reel of us before, right?
Right.
Rather than seeing the highlight reel that's happening now. And it's such a
Yeah.
dangerous game to play because in 5 years, you're going to wish you were 5 years ago, you
Always. Right.
know?
Yeah.
So
But I
it
think
is.
you wish 5 years ago if you are chasing, just the aesthetic. Um,
Yes.
and I think when you have the full picture, because if you're really, really honest with yourself, like
Mhm.
how much insecurity, how much like obsessive thought process or whatever it was, if you really go back to when you're 20. I mean, that's the tricky thing about our memory too,
Yeah.
is that it's so selective in what it chooses to hang on to.
Mm.
So you don't remember yourself accurately when you're 20. Like, no way. And I think about that. That's the beauty of coaching younger kids is I'll get like super frustrated with some of their behavior. And I was like, I was never like that. Oh, of course I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But our memory is so selective about just what it chooses to focus on and and it's only going to remember the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's part of how we protect ourselves as we move through life. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of it too. That's probably part of the discussion you should have with your clients too. How accurately do you remember 20?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
Right?
Seriously. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We remember the good stuff and the bad stuff. We paint ourselves as the hero.
Yes,
And it's
absolutely.
like, yeah.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
have to say, I love this version of you so much. It's
Me too.
it's really awesome. It's so great,
Yeah.
because knowing you back then and just and seeing how comfortable you are in your skin, just sitting there, expressing your ideas, opinions, your vulnerabilities, what you've been through. It's really beautiful. It's a
Good.
really cool thing to see.
Good. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun too. It's not that I care deeply always about what people think. I think just being a healer, you're so open. Like you're literally like an
Yeah,
open channel. Like I feel
sure.
everyone all the time. So it's but it's also nice to have not your identity attached to any of it and be able to like really sit in your ground and just it just really feels like, I guess when I'm the better version of me, right? Because it's always
Yeah,
a roller coaster, but
sure.
it's just nice to kind of be sitting by the river rather than like feeling like you're in it, like getting hit in the face.
Yes, that's a great
Like,
description. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I'm here, we're all here, you do your
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
okay, and I'm on my journey, and you're on your journey,
Totally.
and I have like love and compassion and everything for you, like depending on what side of your journey you're in. But
Yeah.
I think it really changed how you see things when you just realize we're all the same and we're just all at a different point in our journey.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to look at this podcast when I'm 50 and be like laugh at myself
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
No, it's great.
or adore myself, like whatever it
I
is,
think yeah, you'll absolutely adore yourself. And I think that's an incredible description of, that's very much of what it is, like sort of struggling in the river to kind of catch a breath versus like the version of you now that is so grounded and
Mhm.
present. Like you're so beautifully present and grounded. And that's the difference. And I think when you are stepping into the healing space, it's like heal or heal thyself. I feel like when I'm working with a patient, I'm learning
Yeah.
about them. and I'm learning a lot. And when I work on myself, that's like when I get the quiet time and I have to like really prioritize like going inward, what
Yes.
you're talking about, and using meditation, you know, sound work, all of these different things that I love to explore to gain more insight into like just clearing my vessel.
Yes.
So like what we're talking about, so that there's less layers of film. We can call them belief systems, we can call them patterns or whatever, less of those layers that I'm viewing the world through, so that I can try to have an experience that's as clear as possible.
You're describing that so well. I think there's so much of that, like, not enough that comes with all the noise.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah,
it's like it starts to pile up and you don't even notice that it's piling up. And there's a
for
point
sure.
that you can't hear anymore. But what you can't hear is you. Like you
Mhm.
can't hear yourself anymore because you're drowning in like that noise. And
Yep.
like if you don't like purposely, exactly like you said it, like clear your vessel, is
Yeah.
like now it's like without knowing you're walking back in the river.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
it's fine. You need look, you're gonna go in the river, gonna wash yourself, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
come back out. But it's like that like down and up is like the play. Like
Sure.
that's life, right? Because you
Right.
can't just
100%.
sit by the river. You want to be part of it and play, but
Sure.
it has to be a little bit more mindful. And I do think that we get hurt by like not getting out ever.
Sure. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the first step is recognizing that you're even in the river, right?
Yes, yes. And
Like,
yes, 100%.
yeah.
100%. And that I feel like goes back to this idea of like wearing a tag of how selfless I can be and how much I can punish myself, to show everyone how good I am at suffering. And it's like, I like love like working and helping people and like yes, like I have like big discipline and I'm like but I do it now with like a purpose and it uplifts me. Like
Yeah.
there's a big difference with doing things that way and doing things in like a punishing way. And it's like you
Yeah.
just need to change that.
For sure. For sure. And I think that, it's so interesting though, because all of it is got like layers where you can fall back, even in the service space. Because I know when I was practicing, I got so much fulfillment and so much reward of helping people that it would be like, well, I was kind of addicted to that,
Mm.
and I sort of lost myself. So there we are back in the river,
Yes,
right?
exactly. That's exactly
Mhm.
it though. Exactly. Oh my God. Like honestly, like that push pull. I just read that book recently. It's called Owning Your Shadow.
Uh-huh.
And it's so good because it's that, and I think it's
Yeah.
like that's what I'm trying to understand in my life right now. So I'm in no position to give anyone like recommendation or help right now because I like this is like the skill I'm trying to develop right now. And I know that's a life work, but it really is like it's just everything is the scale of like push pull, everything is white dark, so everything is good to an extent and then it's like transform into the other side. So it's always like trying to
Right.
come back and then you'll be back on that perfect balance for an ounce of a second, but you can't stay there.
Right.
You
Right.
just can't stay there. It's like you're not
No,
allowed to. And yeah, that's
no.
so funny.
I always
Okay.
like used to equate it to like when if you're surfing and in the moment, or like if you're in the zone is probably the best example. Like you're in the zone, but if you start to recognize that you're in the zone, you're like not in the zone anymore. Right? Like,
Yes, it's
oh,
like
dang it. You just
yes.
have to enjoy being in the zone for as long as it lasts and just be
Yeah.
grateful. And it's part of it's part of surrendering,
Yes.
learning to surrender. But
Same thing
yeah,
with meditation, right?
yeah,
I'm
100%.
doing it. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm uh
Right.
no longer doing it.
Nope, missed it. Totally missed it.
Empty, nothing happened. And I'm thinking then empty, nothing happened.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
hard.
I will
So
say though,
good.
like you're like, oh, I'm not ready. Just hearing you say that you're not ready for teaching it or whatever but you are, so the
Yeah.
exact right people that need to hear exactly what it is that you have learned in this moment
Yeah.
and where it is. Those are exactly the right people for you. It's why it's so important that there are so many healers, so many people of service out there. Because I used to have that belief where I was like, well, why would I share my story? There's so many more important stories,
Yeah.
much bigger, much more profound. You know, who am I
Mm.
to share my story? But I feel like, you know, when we share our stories, we connect and we relate.
Mhm.
And I was like, if just one person can relate and get out of a pattern that moves them to a more elevated space, like it's worth sharing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Thank
another
you.
belief that's kind of tricky too.
Yeah. Thank you for calling me out on my not being enough for a moment.
I know.
Thinking.
You're
I
amazing.
appreciate it. That's what we need
Yeah,
to do.
absolutely.
That's what
Yeah.
we need to do.
Yeah, that's why
Awesome.
you surround yourself with like-minded people that are on the same path so you
Yes.
can help each
Yes.
other out.
Yes. 100%. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
You're awesome.
You are too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything you want? I don't know if you guys out there, go buy Heidi's book, please. It's called Wildly You. And at least go check that cover picture because it's fantastic.
Oh, you're so
And
sweet. Thank you.
yeah, if there's anything you want them to know from you, like business,
Yeah,
Instagram,
no,
whatever
I
it
think
is.
I'm sort of in this new space right now where I just really, you know, it's funny because after I wrote my book, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Why did I put all that out there?
Mhm.
And as I sort of grab my throat chakra,
Yep. Yep.
was I talking about that? But I really, you know, I do believe that that is my purpose, is to help people, not even help people, but to inspire and to lead people into adventure, to explore their edges and their potential. Because I think humans are amazing. I love
Yeah.
our species. And we're clearly unlimited in just so many
Mhm.
profound and exceptional ways. And that's really what lights me on fire, is to see people sort of stretch into
Yes.
their potential. So I think my future will probably be more of exploring and inspiring more wildly you-ness out there
Good.
in all people. So we'll see where that takes me as I continue to explore in Europe for a little bit longer.
Well, you're inspiring me because I wrote a children's book like 2 years ago, and I haven't
Where is
been.
it?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's emotional for me, so too vulnerable. But now I'm literally saying this here for me to do it. So thank you.
I'm gonna follow up with you, Cam.
Yes, yes, keep me on it. It's so
I will.
cute, and I love it, and I cry every time I look at it. Um, so yeah, I love it. Thank you for
Thank
everything that
you
you're
so much.
doing and
Absolutely.
helping everyone. Okay. Whoop.